Hello, everybody, and welcome back to
Hello.
Ears to the East. And yeah, we're still recording on this day when blessed be Neon, for he is unwell. We are continuing
Wish him
to
the
wish,
best.
continuing to wish him a steady recovery. Um, so hopefully nothing too serious, but he will keep us informed, and we'll keep you informed as well. Or he might just fucking magically appear afterwards, like "Hi guys," which I know is his usual intro. So, in the meantime, though, there's a couple of topics that we wanted to talk about, and one of them, Benedikt, do you mind if I tell a little story?
You do anyway.
I was about to say, that was like the most rhetorical question ever. It's like,
Yeah.
do you mind if I talk for a long time? So, fuck it, that's what this channel is, right?
Just say yes and leave.
So, I was with my beloved, sweet, darling, light of my life, wonderful lady who I adore very much. And for her birthday present, we'd planned this months in advance. There was a show she wanted to go to. She wanted to go to a concert, and the concert in particular was being played by a Western band visiting Japan. I was like, okay, cool, okay. She wants to see this band. I'll take her to see this band. And the support act, I didn't realize until right before we went to the show, was a Japanese band, a relatively well-known Japanese band. Again, not going to give any names away at this point because this would defy the point. We might get onto this later, or I might get people to guess. But it was a relatively well-known Japanese band playing support for a Western band, a very famous Western band. And anyway, so we're in there, we're enjoying this show, it's great. And then during the support act, who were very good, they were doing a fantastic job. My partner needed to run downstairs to basically get some water because she was quite dehydrated. So she quickly ran out to the back to get some water and then ran back in. And when she ran back in, she got back up to her seat and she said to me, Howard, if you go to the space outside, there's nothing but foreign people. So all the foreign people have left the room for the support act. It's like they were like, fuck this J-pop, I'm going outside. And there was this sinking feeling in my heart. And then we were sitting and we were in a fairly steep row of seats, and I looked down and suddenly I noticed it. It hit me like a wave of sadness. The number of people looking at their phones. And this dark, dark cloud fell upon my head as one of the most famous bands in Japan performed whilst all the foreigners fucked off outside and half the people remaining inside looked at their phones. And the subject came to me in a wave of ecstasy. This will be great for Ears to the East. So, today...
At least one positive note.
And I should point out, I fucking enjoyed it. It was a band who I wasn't expecting to enjoy, and I really enjoyed them. I thought they were bloody brilliant. I'm just going to say it was Yoasobi. So Yoasobi, they were really, really good. I only know a few of their songs, and I listened to it. They were absolutely brilliant. And so, yeah, I enjoyed them greatly. Much more unexpected, and it just baffled me, the attitude of the rest of the room. But I don't think that's so abnormal. And of course, we have stories set in smaller venues as well. But let's talk a little bit about support bands. What do they deserve? What do they expect? Is there any rules? How would you treat it? And if you have any stories or any thoughts on this as well, because I know you are a man you've been to some concerts in your time as well. So any stories or any thoughts on this before we start chewing through the nitty gritty?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I kind of made a similar experience like you
Okay.
did not too long ago on the Sabaton tour, where Babymetal was kind of the support act.
I was thinking whether this would come up, and I
Yeah.
forgot you went to that. Yeah, you went to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And, at first I didn't really notice this. I was looking around and, I saw seats being empty and stuff. And also before the concert, I already noticed, okay, like I don't see any baby metal fans here. No one is wearing any baby metal merch. I'm the only guy. Everyone else was there for Sabaton. And yeah, you could also, like, during the concert when Babymetal was on, there was a lot of seats were empty, the space in front, it was pretty empty. And then later when Sabaton came on, everything was packed. So yeah, really, I don't know, unfortunate. And I also don't understand it. I mean, I paid a lot of money to see this concert. I don't want to see everything they offer me. I don't want to just see the end or like the middle.
Well, I mean,
like I went there for Babymetal, but I also stayed for the band before and the band after, even though I'm not a fan.
yeah, I think this is an interesting point. I mean, you know, when I was at this show, I was there primarily for my partner. And I enjoyed the whole thing because the atmosphere was really lovely. So I just enjoyed the whole thing. But I was really excited about Yoasobi because I'm into Japanese music and Yoasobi. I was like, oh shit! I didn't even realize they were going to be a supporting act. I was like, this is mind blowing. They're like at the top of their fame and they're going to be there. I was like, oh shit! I got to check this out. And this is what I was thinking. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, I'm not like I'm not like a massive Yoasobi fan. I'm much more of a fan of them now. But at the time, I was not a massive Yoasobi fan. They come up on my Twitch occasionally. They're a band who I basically go, I kind of like them. I know like the song Idol was at #1 for quite a while. It's still in the top 3 even now. It's been like at the top of the charts in Japan for a long time. But I that was kind of my knowledge of them. It was very surface. And I was excited. I was like, well, yeah, but I want to see. Yeah, I want to see what is this. I mean, for me, it's like I paid to take my partner to see a show, and I was like, it's like the support act is like you're getting a free extra. So yeah, why would you turn it down? And in this case, obviously, we're talking about a massive show in an arena, and so you can't help but feel that there's always a possibility that when you've got these big shows. And I want to reference this to your Sabaton example as well in a moment. When you've got these big shows...
It's also an arena, so quite big.
Okay. Now, obviously, there's a difference in the show we went to was much more poppy, as you can tell, whereas the show you went to is much more heavy. But I still wonder, at these big shows, do you just get a lot more people who are not really that into music? They just really like this one band or something. But there's sort of people who, if their friend says, hey, check out this band, they're like, nah, I already know the music I like. I mean, those are the sort of people who we would not hang around with, particularly because we're musos. Snob. But the thing is that the truth is that is the majority of people out there who listen to music. There is a huge propensity of people out there who like music, but by the time they hit a certain age, they only listen to the same bands until they die, and they never listen to anything new.
Yeah.
And I do wonder.
There were a lot of people like that on the concert.
Okay. Yeah, I certainly think that was definitely the case for where we were. And my partner, she kind of made that comment as well. She was like, I think there's just a lot of people who are just they're just kind of like radio listeners. They're not really, that wasn't her wording, but it's basically just watering it down. Sort of radio listeners, the sort of people who don't.
Still, really... then you are paying for this show, so why are you only watching a part of it?
Well, it says something about the person. I think that you are that uninterested in music that when offered music that is, I mean, you could say it's free of charge, or you could say you have actually paid for this. That when offered music, put in a room with it, an artist is going to perform for you now, you would actually say, nah, this isn't what I came for, and go outside. I think that says something rather disturbing about you as, well, I mean, again...
Yeah, I think it really highlights the disinterest in music, because if you think like the same people, for example, I don't know, let's choose any example, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, someone they want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they will not go out of the cinema when Arnold Schwarzenegger is not on the screen. They will still watch the rest of it, Yeah, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, I think there is I mean, obviously there's a continuity in that the movie's the movie. I'm trying to think of an example where that maybe ties in more, but I do get your point.
True.
It's all one cohesive story, but it is true. I just think that, I mean, it is okay. It's okay if you are a ticket paying customer. I mean, let's face it, like we say, these big arena shows, a lot of the people in there are that kind of non-music fan, music fan. They just kind of like one artist, but they're not really into music. But at the end of the day, their presence is paying the bills for these artists and making them super famous. So, it's not like we can't say, we're not saying, oh, you shouldn't be at a show or anything. It's just, it is rather a stark and shocking example of the fact that those kind of people exist in a very large quantity, where literally music given to them free of charge is not interesting enough for them. And it truly baffles me. And I should point out that my partner, she sat through the Yoasobi. At the end, she told me that she didn't actually enjoy them very much, but she was there. She sat through it.
But that's fine.
I will say her daughter fucking loved it. I was like, yes. So you've got fucking taste. But it was an interesting thing. Now,
but still, if you're not becoming a fan afterwards, because I think at the Babymetal concert, at the Sabaton concert, there was not only Babymetal. Before that, there was Lordi, a group, for example.
Oh yeah, the Eurovision band.
That I only knew, that one song from Eurovision Song Contest, like that Hard Rock Hallelujah song.
That's the one.
I was also like, Lordi, well, okay,
Lordy.
Actually, I quite enjoyed that performance. I mean, I'm still not a Lordi fan. I'm not a huge fan of their music, but still, that performance was pretty cool, and I wouldn't want to have missed it.
I mean, I would actually go,
even though I'm not going out of my way to listen to any Lordi now.
I would actually go the extra step and say that if I was at a show and the opening act was something that I wasn't into, I would make a concerted effort to try and be into it. Just because I'm like, well, it's here, I'm here, they're performing. It's I might actually enjoy this, I mean, I'm not a big fan of, like, as everyone knows, I'm not a big fan of certain, let's say, like someone like Regal Lily. If Regal Lily were playing at a show, I wouldn't, even though I kind of find them, they're not my thing, I would still I would stand there and I would stand through every single song, and I would just try and enjoy it, and I would like try and let the beat take me. I'd try and enjoy the atmosphere of the other people. I would just try and take it in because I'm there. And so, again, I think we're kind of beating the drum on that. But maybe one point I want to bring up as a secondary comparison then is there was the whole thing when... was it the last Rockstars, this group which was made out of Yoshiki and a couple of people like was it Miyavi, a couple of the fellas from X Japan, and they did this super group, and then they went to play in America, and they had Band-Maid as their opening act. Got swiveled hat. Now, this might be a contrary example because there was, and I don't want to overstate this because I think it's impossible for us to know the degree to which this was the case. And I think some people have overstated it, some people perhaps understated it. But there was a whole thing where apparently after the Band-Maid did the opening act for Last Rockstars, which I think is a fantastic opportunity for Band-Maid, and a wonderful endorsement from this band made of people who they look up to. Apparently there were some people who were like, oh, Band-Maid didn't get enough time on stage. They were overlooked. They didn't, they should have played longer. They're Band-Maid. It's like, yeah, but they're not as famous. I love them. I wear their hat in every single video. I've been to their shows, got all their albums, all this. But
I think it kind of depends with that.
You gotta know.
I think it kind of depends how the show is marketed,
Well, exactly.
Because,
if they're
for
down
example,
in the
on
corner,
my show it says Babymetal is the special guest, so obviously they won't have as great as a show as the main act. But if it's like a show and it just lets these three groups will perform, then I kind of expect like an equal state. Equal time for each group.
Show, yeah. I mean, in this
case, if someone is like mentioned as a support act, you will get a support act-like show.
Well, yeah, I mean, Band-Maid were definitely the opening act there. And as I say, most Band-Maid fans, I do not think were taking that angle. It was just interesting. There was enough people saying that apparently, there was a message, I think it was from someone who was in, like, Band-Maid's PR or something, actually put a message out saying, look, Band-Maid actually really enjoyed this. It was a wonderful opportunity. So I mean, I don't think it was a lot of people, but there was clearly a couple of people beating that drum, which was like causing some upset. Which is, and I always say the Band-Maid fandom is like actually one of the usually most reasonable of all the fandoms that I've come across. So you can see that there are two sides to this. You have some people who want the opening act to be everything, and then there's some people who will literally fucking walk out the room just and won't even take free music was given to them. I think there should be I think it should just be one of those things. It's like, it's part of the show. The show starts when the opening act comes on. You enjoy it. You listen to it. The opening acts are probably curated by the headliner who you came to see anyway. So, listen to it because the headliner likes it, if that's the only reason. Enjoy it. And don't enjoy it. But if you don't enjoy it, it'll make you like your favorite band more.
Also, I cannot tell you like how many groups I discovered through things like that, where I went to a lot of it through festivals, to be honest. But still there, I was like in the crowd waiting for the next band to come on. And then the group before turned out to be amazing.
Well, this is my point about the Band-Maid thing. So I do genuinely believe that Band-Maid, and I said this at the time, I think Band-Maid doing that show, whatever you think about I would much rather go and see Band-Maid than the last Rockstars, which just didn't come across particularly mind-blowing to me. But whatever you think of that probably, I would be surprised if it was not a positive number of people who walked away from that going, that opening act, they were fucking good. And that's the point. That's the point. It's for those people. And I think that a lot of the Band-Maid fandom got that, and that's why the people who got that were that was the whole point. They were there to pick up people who hadn't heard of them by proxy to a more famous
if you want, I can tell the story of my very first concert I ever went to.
Are you telling me it's Benedikt story time? Is it Benedikt story time? Kiddies,
it's not as long of a story as Howard's stories.
Wait, I'm gonna turn down my light so that people can focus on you.
Oh.
Why did my camera compensate that? Anyway,
it's a long time ago. I was 16 years old. But my very first concert, it was like a 5-band concert called The Unholy Alliance. Really heavy
you've
metal
been dark
concert.
For a while, haven't you? You've been dark for a while.
Yeah.
Zero chill. Okay.
I've been a real metalhead back then. But yeah, I went there. It was actually a Slayer concert. Slayer was like the main act. But then before that, we had 4 groups that I don't think I knew too much about. We had In Flames, Children of Bodom, Lamb of God, and one other. I cannot think of the name right now. But the concert was so insane and it was so great. We had so much fun vibing, headbanging, moshing that I was with 2 friends, I think, and we were so exhausted the time Slayer came on that we just said, okay, let's go home.
Really?
And we actually left. Yeah, we were so exhausted we couldn't take another group and like everything in the hall. We were like 16 years old. Our very first concert.
Okay. I was going to ask how old you were. So you were 16, and you came specifically for Slayer. That was
I think we came. Yeah, I think people said there are a lot of groups that are cool. Let's go to this show.
Okay.
It was insane. But there were things like we were kind of contemplating: should we go in the wave breaker area in front of the stage?
Was that?
Because we were right behind it at the fence, and then we saw like a 2-meter huge guy, bald, without shoes, putting in like a mouth protection and walking in. We were like, okay, let's not do this.
This could turn into prison rules real quick.
Who's bare feet on a concert?
It's like when you go in there basically expecting to have your feet destroyed and have your mouth endangered, and you've got no hair. It's like this, and you're already 2 meters tall, and you're worried about getting your mouth smacked. You are getting ready for some intense shit.
This guy's going in for some battles.
Yeah, for me, I think a certain aspect of that is the fact it's a metal show. So not only is there physicality to it, but there's also.
Still, I wanna survive it.
Well, this thing is you don't want to be physically worn down in a metal show because if other people are like getting high energy, there's more risk. Whereas if you get like if you're at another type of show, if it's just like a more standard rock show, if you start to get weaker, you can just move up to the barrier and sort of like position you sit against the barrier and just allow people to sort of bounce off the back of you, and you're kind of safe. But in a metal show, you could easily get dragged into it. So I get that, but that's actually quite a cool story. I can sympathize.
But the point I was making
Sorry.
is like we actually went out before the main act even came on, and that just shows you how much fun you can have with like pre or support groups.
That's true. That's true. I do wonder if you had specifically been there for Slayer, though. I wonder how much you would have perhaps, if you'd been there as a Slayer fan in a
maybe.
Slayer shirt, I wonder how much. Maybe it would have.
I think I was there for Children of Bodom actually,
Okay.
but like the other groups like In Flames and Lamb of God, I discovered on that concert.
There you go. But that makes the point perfectly. I think it is harder because you've got to measure it against what a fan of the main act would say. And as you point out, sometimes you have a festival, sometimes you have a show where it's just an evening of a lot of artists leading up to a headliner. These are very different dynamics. Interesting enough, I'm going to give a name drop to an artist who are barely known, but just before we recorded this video, we were checking out their new single that just came out, and bless them, they are very young. Local band from Tokyo called Caramel Candid. They've had their most recent song come out. Absolutely brilliant. The reason I'm mentioning them, though, is because I went to their very, very first debut show, and it was part of, and this is the complete opposite end now. We're talking about a tiny little venue, and I think there was six, maybe seven, I think it was 6 acts on the roster, and it was basically just a showcase. And when you consider there were 6 bands on the roster and you consider everyone who was in the audience that night, I'm pretty sure that it was all family, friends, and occasionally bands who were not on stage coming around and getting in the audience to support the bands who were on stage. We are talking about ultimate minimalism here, virtually no random member of the public. I think it would even be fair to say I probably was the only person there who was not actually, didn't have a connection to any of the artists directly, but I had come for Caramel Candid because I got to know them online after reviewing their debut
Everyone is
song.
like, "Who's that guy?"
Well, yeah, it was one of those things, and I've had this from when I go to the small Tokyo live houses, I'm used to being the only there. And but this was like one of those examples, and I've come across this maybe 2 or 3 times ever. But this is one of those examples where it was pretty clear it stood out. It's because like there wasn't random people at this show. This was not a show with random people. So I definitely stood out. So as a result, I just kind of kept myself quietly to the corner, before the show started. But the band came up to me and they were like, "Oh, you came! We're so happy!" And I'd never seen them before because they were quite young, so their faces weren't on the internet at the time. They put out some promotional pictures.
They knew who you were.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It was like they didn't have to do huge amount of fucking mental math to work out that guy.
You're not the only Westerner who's in Japan.
It's like that guy is probably the white fella we've been talking to online. Plus, in all fairness, they'd also seen my video, so if they hadn't recognised me, I would have felt, probably accused them of racism. But there was the reason I mention this is the reason I mention this is because it was actually quite interesting as the show went on. That obviously, so this was the dynamic of the audience. This is the total opposite of the show that I started this video by talking about. And as it went through, it was so interesting to see how at the beginning of the night there was just sort of 7 or 8 people in the audience. By the middle of the show, which went on for about 3 hours in total, by the middle of the show, the room was mostly filled. And then by the end of the show, it was down to sort of 7 or 8 people. And you could just tell this was the aggregate of people passing through. So some people arriving late for the artist they like and then leaving after the artist is gone, their friend's band or whatever. So it was a real example of like people not staying for the whole show. But I was there from, so Caramel Candid were basically in the middle of the set list. I was there from the first artist to the end of the last artist. And I remember the girls from Caramel Candid.
Like everyone should be.
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what? By the end of the night, because it was a showcase, I'm going to say there were some surprisingly good bands. There were a couple of bands in there who I must admit I got through. I got through. There was nothing bad there, but there were some artists who just they weren't really doing anything for me, and there were some who were really great. And all new artists, so they all deserve the love and attention. But I was like, I'm not gonna leave until this is done. And I remember it started, like say, everyone was, the girls were there and everything. By the middle, when Caramel Candy were playing, just by I think aggregate numbers, a lot of people were there. The highest point of people. And then at the end, when the last band came on, it was kind of quiet again. I felt quite bad for them, but I was there with them throughout. And I remember I was just sort of like in the middle of the room, sort of vibing along, enjoying it. It's really weird when you're vibing to a band in the middle of the room where the nearest person is a good 3 meters away. So it really adds something to the sort of feeling of the band can basically just pick you out and look directly at you. You're as much on show to them as they are to you. But I remember I was just sort of vibing along, and I turned around, and there was Caramel Candid in their outfits, in their their dresses that they do their show on, all standing like next to me, dancing along as well. And I just remember it's nice because you can tell the bands know how important it is to support each other. It's not lost on them. And I hope on some level that when people go to these shows, even if they don't care about the support act, or even if they know the support act and they don't really like them, one, you paid for it, and two, just, they're there, they're performing, you're there, just enjoy it. Don't vacate the fucking room and make them perform to empty seats.
It's not like you're wasting time. It's just you're standing outside for whatever reason.
Exactly. I think that's the perfect description. It's not like you're wasting time. That's a perfect description. Yeah. Oh dear. So,
do you think there's like a difference if people like already have do you think it's better if people don't know anything about these support acts? Do you think there's a higher likelihood that they will stay and try it out? Because I thought to myself, and at the Sabaton concert, okay, those people are there all old school metalheads. They love Sabaton, and maybe they know they are in the metal realm, so maybe they heard Gimme Chocolate, and they're like, oh yeah, it's this gimmick band from Japan, so that's why they don't even try it out. And compare it to their show in England, where everyone had to the festival, where everyone had to stay there and had to listen to it. And I think you can really tell, over time, they kind of got into it, the crowd.
Okay, now this is difficult because I think overly what I'm going to say, I think my overall response is I don't believe that people as a general, or I don't want to believe, my brain is telling me that people do not leave because they go, oh, this opening act, they suck, or that's just not my thing, I'm going to walk out on this. I don't, that's not the way that I would naturally lean, but I can't help but notice there is a voice in my head. And again, I'm going to probably incur some hate by saying this. This is something that certain genres of music, and metal is one of them, does occasionally have an issue with, which is people doing that's not metal. This is a problem that also exists in, I often defend rap. This is a problem that very much exists in rap, which is ridiculous. It exists in punk as well. Punk has been known for this for a while. Oh, there's not punk. There are other genres.
Yeah, elitists in every kind of genre, probably.
But I think metal is probably one of the ones where, for all the wonderful metal fans there is a
kind of known for that.
Yeah, it's a stereotype, of a certain degree of truth. For some people, there is that group of people. And so, yeah, I can't help but think that there is always going to be some people who are like, oh, I'm not going to stay for fucking Babymetal. I think that is going to exist. But I can't help but think that from what I have experienced, from the biases perhaps of hanging around with nice people who are into music online, I think the majority of people who walk out on the opening act, it's just pure, complacency, just a disinterest. They just don't care. They're just not interested. So fuck it. When is Sabaton coming? Oh, Sabaton coming on a couple of hours. All right. Oh, there's an opening act. Oh, I want to get a burger. Yeah, it's like the opening act isn't even discussed as part of the show. It's just like, oh, there is an opening act. Oh yeah, but I'm hungry. Yeah, I bet there's even people who probably they fucking check what time the main act goes on, and they actually probably don't even think about it. They just plan to, oh well, when the opening act's on, it's probably going to be quiet and outside the stadium, so we can go get our food then because the queues will be less. So if you want to go to the toilet, wait till the opening act comes on. It'll be much easier to get into the toilet. I think there's probably more people who are just like that, who just don't even really give a shit.
Like you said before, it's their own choice. They paid for it. They can do whatever they want, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also see it kind of, weird.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think there's what this comes down to. Is it comes down to that whole thing that I know what I think is right in this situation, and it's so painfully obvious. Like what you were saying, it's so painfully obvious. It's like, you fucking paid for it. It's free. You're not wasting any time. It's here. Yeah, surely you like music. Anyway. You like music. This act was almost certainly picked by the act that you came here to see. I mean, every single conceivable reason. And if you can find yourself being just apathetic about that, then maybe I'm being judgmental, but I can't help but feel that you're just not really into music, which is fine. It's fine. But we all see you. We all judge you. We see you walking out the stadium. We judge you. But what about then? Okay, so let's shift it a bit. What about those people who were sitting a few rows in front of me who were on their fucking mobile phones? Do we give them credit for at least passively being in the room and listening? I guess I kind of have to. As much as I hate people staring at their mobile phones in a show, and we complained on a previous episode, actually before you joined, ironically.
I have to say, I hate people staring on their phone anywhere.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We 100% agree. We had a video about this very topic. You probably know, like before you joined us, these we did a video.
I haven't watched that one.
Yeah, no one has. we did. I think it's actually got less than 100 views, but it was a really good topic. We were talking about people looking at their phones during shows. I think the reason why that video's got so few views is probably guilt. People don't want to watch it.
Yeah, maybe. Might be.
I don't think people want to openly watch a video where they're probably going to get fucking judged, because I think a lot of people have done this. I think we've all probably had some moment we got a phone out. But the point is that, but I do think, as much as I still think just turn your fucking phone off, you're at a show, I guess if someone's going to sit there and go, well, look, I'll listen, I'll stay in the room, I'll get on my phone, and hey, if it starts grabbing my attention, I'll put my phone away. If that was someone's ethos, I'd still see it as pretty cynical, but I'd be like, well, look, okay, they are in the room. If they start enjoying the music, they can tell,
I would say, I think also do whatever you want. It's fine as long as you have like a seat or you're standing at the side.
Yeah.
But what I really hate is like people like right in the middle of the crowd, and everyone is like dancing, but they are not dancing. They are standing still and holding their phone. And that's like a lot of people nowadays. And I feel like sometimes, like what's the point of you being there? You can just watch it later on.
I am interested to sort of bring a slight sequel to the fact that, as I say, we did a video, me and Neon did a video about this, but I'm glad.
Yeah, I didn't want to open that can, but...
No, but I am glad to just quickly sort of skirt on this subject because, I think it was interesting that when we did that video, I am a bit of a hardline person on this. I know people pay to see a show, but like I'm like, just put your fucking camera away because... and we had a discussion. There was some.
That's for me. That's the point of going to a live show, that you can see them live and not through a screen.
And who the fuck actually
then
watches
you go
this
there
stuff
and you
back.
still look at them through a screen.
And no one watches this back. All they do is they post it on social media to show their friends they went, but their friends probably don't give a fuck anyway, or they would have actually come to the show themselves. So it's just to impress a bunch of people who are not impressed whilst not enjoying the show yourself. However, I am going to say, because I did read the comments under the video from the few people who did watch it, there are some people who said that, for posterity's sake, they will take a video, but they will hold it at eye line so it's not in front of other people. I get that. And, I'm not saying, there are some people, fair enough. If you can do it without disturbing anyone else, that's fine. I don't understand why you're doing it, but fair enough. I will say, though, one of the most comical ones, and I mentioned this in the last video, and I want to tell you because I think you'll get a good laugh out of this. You might have seen this yourself. I remember I was at one show in London. This didn't happen in Japan. I was in London. And I think it was at the Electric Ballroom in Camden, for anyone who knows. I was watching this show, and show starts. I was in the middle of the crowd, which I always avoided in London because I can't see anything past the phone. The phones go up, and then it suddenly hit me. Like about 3 or 4 people were not holding up phones. They were holding up fucking iPads. Like big fucking iPads. Not a phone like this. They were holding up and I suddenly realized I'm watching the band through your iPad because that's exactly my only way of seeing them. I might as well go home and buy the DVD. It's like, literally, I can't see the band, but in my brain, I've just subconsciously decided it's okay to watch the band through your iPad screen. That's not all right. It's like, there are people who take that to a degree where I do want to take their iPad and smash it over their head. And I'm not a big fan of like property destruction, but that's
even
one
take
case
an
where
iPad to a concert.
Yeah, what kind of absolute fucking moron is doing that? Sorry if anyone in the show... If you've brought an iPad to a show and you've recorded an iPad, please tell us about how
you are a fucking moron. Quote end.
I was opening the door, but in all fairness, the door was only open a slight crack, and the minute you put your foot through, I was telling you to slam that shit shut.
I mean, I get some of the reasons. When I was at the Babymetal concert, I also did a few little snippets because I wanted to make a video for my channel. Yeah. And I guess there are a lot of people who kind of want to share that somewhere, probably. Well, but don't record like the whole concert. Like, okay, put it out for 10 seconds, record a few lines, and then put it away.
One of the ones that I actually heard, which I found this hard to argue against, because I know what my argument against... Well, I'll say it. So some people were like, oh yeah, I'm part of an online community, so I recorded this whole song, or I recorded the whole show so that I could show it to other people in the community who didn't get to go to it. And the thought in my head when people say that is that I'm kind of thinking, okay, if you can do that without disturbing people, okay, but I am really confused about why you went to this. Are you sure you're not getting this online community to pay for your ticket? Because if you paid for your ticket, you went to the show and you looked at it through a little screen inside of your phone. I'm sorry, I don't understand that. Plus, not being funny, but we've all seen these live, recorded on a phone. Phones are much better now, but let's be honest. It's not like people are going, oh, that's a timeless video I'm going to watch 100 times over. It's like, no, they'll watch it once, go, oh, that was decent, and then just wait for a proper recording to come out. Whereas you could have been there making a memory. So that one I kind of get, but I still do wonder whether it's really actually a good idea and if it really is a net benefit. But
what it might be that we are just old already. Yeah, exactly.
All right, okay.
I also think about all these people. Like every time you meet someone, you have to do a selfie, and then for what? I don't know. So you can look at it later, maybe, or you post it on TikTok or whatever. All the social media platforms, and I don't know. I'm kind of thinking like most of those people, most of their life, they're perceiving through this screen, and not actually living and looking around. Something cool is happening. Everyone, first thing they do, pull out their phone and record it instead of looking at it.
Yeah. I would say I'm one of those people where
I guess I'm old.
no, but if there's no pressure, then I am always like, oh, if I'm out with like my family and like we're in a situation, there's no pressure. I'll always be like, oh, this is nice. Let's get a quick picture, you know. But again, it's not something where I rush to it, and it's not the priority. It's usually like if we're at a place, it'll be the last thing we do before we leave. It's like, oh, we're going to go somewhere else. Oh, quick, let's get a picture just while we're here, because it's like a nice thing for posterity. But sorry, I basically agree with you otherwise though. I'm going to round this off by putting a big question out for you though, all right? Here's the final question. So, you're at a gig, all right? And the opening act, let's say let's say it's a Sabaton gig, opening act is Babymetal. And you've got a choice. Either half the audience fucks off and doesn't listen, or half the audience wants to be there and suddenly pulls out their fucking camera phones.
I think I actually choose like half the audience then.
Half the
Get out
audience
with your phones.
get their phones out.
No.
Get,
I want
get
just the audience, just half of the audience, but no phones.
Everyone else just get the fuck out. Yeah.
I feel like then you really just have the people who really want to be there for the music.
I like that.
Not
logic.
all those filler people.
Yeah. So what we're insinuating is if you're there just to film, then you're probably not even in it enough to be. So you might as well just leave.
Would you choose the same?
I don't know. I mean, there's this voice in the back of my head where I say like,
A lot of voices back in your head, I think.
"What are you talking about?" Don't listen to him. He doesn't know what he's saying. But anyway, the feeling I get is that being an opening act is, yeah. I mean, some fans are gonna come to see you opening for someone else. But the truth is, being an opening act, it's more a publicity exercise. Therefore, if you're gonna have people standing there with their fucking mobile phones filming it, it means that they are going to share it, which means that there is a possibility that it actually aids your promotion. So if the band I like is an opening act, they're not the main act, and a bunch of people stand there filming them, in a way I'm kind of like, well, okay, this serves the purpose for which they are here. It gets them through to more people who might not have already known them. It would piss me off. This is probably why I would never see a band I like as the opening act. It might happen one day, but I don't think I would ever do that. I don't remember ever doing that because, except for this one time, but that was just coincidence. But yeah, I think I would be okay with it in that situation. But if a band I like is actually like playing the headline and people get out their phones, then I'll just crowd surf through, just air kicking people's phones out of their hands.
Yeah.
That's the image in my head.
Like one. I will just put a huge magnet over the crowd that will put up all the phones.
I like that because you would get to erase the phones at the same time. All of their phones are destroyed in the process. We come across very vindictive, but I don't regret it at all. Old men destroy mobile technology. The video.
I'm in.
Well, there you go, folks. Everyone at home. That was us being incredibly old. And do we regret a thing? No, we do not. So, as always, get in the comments. We already did a video about the phone thing, so you can talk about it if you want. But moreover, really interested to know your thoughts about support acts. Get in the comments. Tell us what you think about this subject, really, of this video, which is support acts, people's attitudes towards support acts. What are some stories you've seen? What is your feeling about how people should do that? I mean, as again, we're not judging. If you pay, you can do whatever you want in the fucking show within reason. But what do you feel? Do you feel there should be an etiquette? Do you feel like, what do you feel about the people who walk out? Do you kind of feel happy they leave it alone for other people? You know, just let us know what you think. You've heard us waffle, so no point for me repeating all the things you've heard before. Just get in the comments and tell us your thoughts. And until that moment.
And sorry that it's so dark here. It's kind of suddenly got really dark
I was
here.
about to say, it does look like you went from like, when we were recording earlier, it looked like you were getting into the rapture.
Yeah,
with
like
the
an
sunlight
hour
in your
ago,
eyes.
the sun was shining. But
Now it's like suddenly fucking Blair Witch Project going on there. It's like, dude, okay, but he's like suddenly looking like.
it's gonna stand in the corner now.
Yeah, what's that behind you? Oh, go. This is gonna be some scary shit. I forgot turning off the light doesn't work properly here. The light just compensates. That was genuinely quite creepy.
Yeah.
I think that's your natural state of being, though. You like to be creepy, don't you?
I just stand there in the corner, facing the wall.
Let me try that again. I can do this better. I can do this better. Wait. All right. You see where this is
Turn on
going.
some lights.
Ah, there we go.
Ooh.
Why does the light compensates too well? Oh, fuck, the kitchen light's on. Oh, shit, I didn't even realise that. Turn off all the lights in the kitchen. Now just...
too good.
Yeah, fuck it. Anyway, so, I'm not turning the lights on anymore. Can't be bothered. Fuck it. Until we see you in this horror show that we have created, remember to keep your ears to the east. Oh, fuck, I've got to press stop again. I forgot Neon's not here. Wait.